We got work in progress balance changes coming, guys, and we got emergency balance changes coming before the season ends. Let's get right into it. I'm actually excited about a lot of these changes. The first one, guys, is the Royal Ghost nerf. I was actually one of the people in the balance chat with all the creators that suggested this nerf. Why don't they nerf just the regular ghost as well as the evolved ghost? Because both of them have been very strong for a long time, and I think they nerfed it in a perfect way possible. They decided to give it an invisibility delay of 11%, going from 1.8 seconds to 2 seconds. Now, this is a very small nerf, but the reason why I think this is a perfect way of nerfing the ghost is because this impacts both the regular ghost as well as the evolved ghost. The evolved ghost is very strong because the standard version is already a very good card itself and has always been at least A tier in every single meta for a very long time. I would even say S tier for a while. So this is a great way of making both of them just a little bit more manageable to deal with. And I think, the Evo Ghost has just been broken now for the past few months. There's no question about that. The Evolved Royal Hogs guys are getting a nerf. They've been porking quite the punch, or pigs evolve Royal Hogs can fly. But now they're going to learn to land. Reducing landing damage will make them less punishing when players don't have the right answers in hand. So now they're getting reduced 18% to their landing damage, going from 115 to 94. Perfect way of nerfing the Evolved Royal Hogs. Hopefully the landing damage nerf is enough. I don't know how many interactions that's going to change, but what I do know is the actual damage it deals directly on towers and buildings is probably going to be very noticeable, and stuff is going to stay alive for a longer period of time. So things like a cannon are probably going to be slightly better at dealing with them now, and then things that countered them before, like the bomb tower, are going to counter them even more, but they're still going to be way better than the standard version. So this is just a fantastic change, in my opinion. The Vines nerf, guys. Vines have been a little too good at snaring unprepared defenders, particularly in combination with spellbait cards. Supercell's increasing deploy time to give players a fair chance to react. So the deploy time is being increased by a whopping 125%, going to 0.4 to 0.9 seconds. This almost reminds me of the way they nerfed the Void, where people have more time to react to it now. This is kind of reminding me of that, I have to say. I think this is a very big nerf, so the question is this card even going to be good after this? Hard to say. I think it'll still be good inside of lava and maybe some bait decks, but it's just going to be not as OP anymore. They figured it was still a very good spell, and I got to admit, recently, the last few months especially, it's been definitely better than arrows. If you're comparing it to another 3 elixir card, it's been used way more than arrows, that's for sure. The Hero Ice Golem, guys, is getting a nerf, and they're nerfing basically the freeze duration. So this is a little confusing, minus 25%, but you guys know how the final freeze, it freezes the cards for 2 seconds, I believe. I don't know why on here it says 5.1 to 3.8. I don't know if that's a typo, but the final freeze is getting reduced. That just freezes everything for so long after it already slows down everything. Perfect way of nerfing the card. They were originally going to nerf the knockback. I was actually the person that suggested, why don't they nerf the final freeze? That's 2 seconds, because that's insanely long, and they actually did it. So I'm really happy to see it. They've actually been listening to the creator feedback for these balance changes, so I've been very pleasantly surprised about that, guys. The Royal Giant's getting a nerf. A lot of people are going to be very happy about this one. I thought that the evolution just needed a knockback nerf, but they're actually going to nerf both forms, guys, of the Royal Giant. So it's been one of the strongest and most consistent win conditions in the game for years. A hit speed nerf will ensure that its evolution form's knockback can no longer permanently hit melee troops at bay. So the regular Royal Giant and the Evolved Royal Giant, guys, are going to be noticeably worse because their hit speed is both being reduced, going from 1.7 to 1.8. I definitely think this is going to be noticeable, especially to the evolution form, because things aren't going to be perma-stunned as much, the ground troops, but the regular form itself is going to be a lot worse and going to be getting less hits on top of the tower. Things like log or things that reset it, you're probably going to notice more of a difference because just every 0.2 counts. You would be very surprised, especially for a win condition. The Dark Goblin guys, they figured the damage nerf, the Dark Goblin nerf was not enough a few months ago. I have to say the Evolved Dark Goblin is pretty much dead, and now it's going to completely suck after this because everyone's just been using the regular Dark Goblin for the last few months. But they felt like the sight range is so long that he often abandons his lane to chase faraway targets. So they're going to reduce it to make the pathing more consistent and keep him from running halfway across the arena. So, great way of nerfing the card, I feel like. It's getting just a sight range reduction going from 7.5 tiles to 7 tiles. This is perfect. Another very good change. Great change, I feel like. I think this is definitely just going to balance it out a lot more, because there isn't really another card in the game that does this. You could make the argument that's what makes the Dark Goblin unique, but that's also probably what made it feel like it was broken for only 3 elixir for a lot of players. The Phoenix, guys, is getting a buff, so even after recent buffs, the Phoenix has struggled to find its place in the meta. They're going to double down on the rebirth mechanic, so the log and arrows will no longer be able to crack the egg. So the hit points is getting increased by 81%. Big buff, 240 to 435. Now, I don't know how much of an impact this is going to make, because what I will say is I don't think people arrow the egg very often, but if it means when the tower's targeting it and other things it's going to respawn more, then okay, this is actually probably going to be a very noticeable buff in some scenarios. I think this is just going to depend. I could see it being used again in Beatdown. I wouldn't be surprised. The only time will tell. Maybe Royal Giant and Golem, it'll be good. And again, although Royal Giant got nerfed, so who really knows? We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see, but I guess a pretty good buff nonetheless. The Bats guys got a buff. They've been left in the dark for too long. The balance team is giving them a hit speed boost so they can bite back. This is because of the minions range buff, obviously. So they're getting a hit speed buff going from 1.3 to 1.2. I think they're going to be good again after this, especially the Evolved Bats, because the thing is, the Evolved Bats, they heal every time they attack, right? So my thought process is they're actually getting a bigger buff than the regular Bats. And I'm actually surprised in the image here they did not include the Evolved Bats, unless for some reason this only impacts the regular Bats, but I can't help but feel like it doesn't. I think they just forgot to include the Evolved Bats. So the Evolved Bats might be really good again. I wouldn't be surprised. The Hero Musketeer is getting a buff, guys. The latest rework resulted in the turret no longer being able to reach King Towers, Supercell slightly buffing its range to rectify this interaction. And this will also mean it's going to be slightly more likely to lock on top of Princess Towers as well. So the turret range is going from 3.5 tiles to 4 tiles. This is a good buff. I mean, it was probably by far the worst hero after they gave it that large nerf. So people that had the Hero Musketeer as their only hero probably felt a little left out compared to everyone else that had a stronger hero. So I actually don't mind this buff. The Barbarians guys are getting a rework, so they're getting a hit points buff of 3%, going from 670 to 691. This means they will survive Fireball, guys. They will survive Fireball. This likely means Barbs will be a little stronger in certain matchups, especially against the Fireball. The Barb Putt might be a little better against the Fireball as well. Probably still won't be that amazing realistically, but their hit speed is getting reduced by 7%, going from 1.3 to 1.4. Now, because of the hit speed reduction, if you aren't against the Fireball, I would actually make the argument they're probably going to be worse. That kind of takes away, cancels out that hit points buff almost completely, I would say, in a lot of scenarios, especially if you're defending a tank. So it's really going to depend what you're playing against, for sure. The Executioner, guys, is getting a damage buff, it looks like. Wow, I actually forgot about that or didn't realize that. It's going from 168 to 179. So they're trying to buff the regular Executioner, but the Evolved Executioner is getting a knockback nerf, going from 1.5 tiles to 1 tile. So my guess is what this means is the Evolved Executioner is going to be worse, but the regular Executioner is going to be better. Probably. That was the idea behind this, because they felt like there was too big of a difference between the two, because the regular Executioner is a really, really bad card, but the Evolved Executioner is one of the best Evos in the game. So they're trying to, I think, maybe make the power balance between the two not as far off. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because before the Executioner got an Evo, the Executioner was just like pretty much never used. So I think that's why they did that. And it looks like for the E-Drag, they're doing the same thing, guys. The Electro Dragon is getting a hit points increase of 5%. Does this mean it survives lightning? Oh boy, I don't know. Someone's going to have to check on that. I want to say probably not. I want to say it still barely dies to lightning, but if it means it survives lightning, it's going to be OP. I don't think it does, though. But the hit points is going from 949 to 998. So 5% buff to the hit points. But the evolved Electro Dragon, guys, is getting a chain damage nerf of 50%, going from 128 to 64. So I think they're trying to do the same thing they did for the Executioner, in my opinion. They just know that the E-Drag itself is so weak, but the evolution of the Electro Drag is just significantly stronger. So I don't mind this. I'm very curious to see how this plays out, guys. The Spirit Empress is getting a rework. The ground speed is being increased, so it's going to now be a fast card instead of a medium speed card when it's on the ground. That'll probably be pretty OP in some scenarios, especially in bridge spam. But what it means is they're going to nerf the hit points of the ground speed by quite a lot, 7%, going from 1,244 to 1,152. And then the air is getting a hit speed a hit points nerf of 1% for some reason. I don't know why 1%, going from 1,192 to 1,177. Okay, 1% nerf to the... I don't know if this is accurate or a bug, but I guess they nerfed it 1% to the air form. And then, guys, there's going to be mid-season balance changes, which go live on February 23rd. So these are for the Hero Wizard and the Hero Goblins. And the tower damage is getting reduced drastically for the Wizard. It's going from 120 to 43. Very good change because it currently deals way too much damage now on top of towers. A lot of players, especially pros, have been complaining about that. And then, guys, the Hero Goblins are getting a pretty big nerf as well, because the amount they spawned is going to go from 4 to 3, which is originally what it was, by the way. But on top of that, they're going to nerf the banner duration from 7 to 5. Might test out these 2 changes in a video once they go live. But if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. You can use creator code BOSS to support me in any Supercell game. I would say these balance changes, guys, are very good overall. I feel like they finally touched several cards that many people have been complaining about for a while, and I would say compared to the balance changes maybe a month before or 2 months ago, I would have to say these are actually very good. Are they perfect? I mean, can we expect a 10 out of 10? Probably not, but I think all things considered, they did a pretty good job on these set of balance changes, and I genuinely feel like they have been listening to our feedback of the changes as well.